Hello. I've been dealing with Ancestry.com for quite a while now, and I thought I would make a video of dealing with the DNA. So let's get started here. Here's the home page for Ancestry.com and genealogy. Now, go up to the heading. It says Ancestry, Home, Trees, Search, and DNA. Health, Help, and Extras on the heading line. Just click on the DNA, go down, and next click on DNA Matches. That'll bring up a page that has all of the DNA matches that they have found that connects with your personal DNA or the DNA that you're researching. If you want to change if you have more than one DNA entry into your tree, you can go up to View Another Test, hit the down arrow, and it'll show you the available DNA that you have entered into your program. But today we'll look at, this is my DNA, so that's my name at the heading. Now, next thing down is an entry called Filter By, and it has unreviewed. That's items that do not have the blue dot by the picture of the name. Let me scroll down. I'll show you one that has a blue dot so you'll see it. There's one right there. Now, this particular person, I have not looked at her entry yet, so that's why this blue dot is still there by her name. Go back to the top. If you push the unreviewed arrow button, it'll give you all of the entries that is in your DNA connection file or matches file that have not been reviewed. The next button is Common Ancestors. That's the one we'll be dealing with mostly. So Common Ancestors, when you research the person who is on the list, click on their name, and it'll bring up the heading with you and the person you clicked on. And on the left hand side it says, how are you and this person related? And in the bottom of that it'll say if there is a combination of entries in both your tree and the person's tree that you're looking at, it'll have the common ancestor there. And that's how you get the connection from you to the person that you're supposedly connected with. And I have two in this list here. So we'll click down at the bottom of that. It says View Relationship. Just click on it, and it'll come up with your picture or your name at the bottom on the left, or your file, your DNA file name. And on the right, it'll come up with the person's name that you are looking at. And above that, it'll show the connections. And this particular person happens to be my cousin, so my first cousin. So we are connected with very few people above us, her parents and her grandparents, and my parents and my grandparents. Now, that is the way that you find out who to have in your file to make sure that you get the connection. Let's go back now, and I'll find a person that has more. Let's say we have to go back 4 or 5 generations. So I want common ancestors. That'll make sure that the person that we're reviewing and I have a tree connection so that we can fill in our information. If we don't have common ancestors, there's got to be very difficult, because there's a possibility that those people do not, for instance, have a tree. I have many people in my listing that I have not been able to connect to because it has unlinked tree or no trees or private. So some are locked and they won't let you have access to it. So if you make sure that you push the common ancestors, you won't have to deal with that problem. Ancestry.com has already gone through and checked out and made sure that you're connected. All you have to do is go through and evaluate it and fill in the information. Now, when I do this, I will go in and click Unviewed and Common Ancestries, because I've already seen a lot of them. Now let's take, for instance, the first one on the top of the page, just for drill. This doesn't look like a very good connection, but it's a 4th to 6th cousin. There's only 23 CMs across the 2 segments. So it's fairly remote. There's going to be a lot of levels of ancestries before you can connect to this person. And they only have 17 people in their tree. But we do have common ancestry. So let's go click on him or her, whoever it may be. And we'll go down and we'll click on the connection line. This happens to have 2 people in this connection line. And click on the view relationship. And here brings a whole level of, there's generations. There's me, my father, my grandfather, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandfather, my great-great-great-grandfather, and my 4th generation and 5th great-grandfather is where the connection is made to that particular person. Now, when you come back down the other line this is the generation, this is the tree structure of the person that you're connecting with on the right side. On the left side is your tree connection, and you're both connected to the one at the top of the page, where it splits and comes down. Now, if you have people listed on your tree that are on this other on your connections tree, it will show there. And if the connection doesn't show, it'll be in green, and in the corner it'll say evaluate. In other words, that person is not in your tree, it's in their tree. But you'll need to add that to your tree to get the connection to the person that you're evaluating. And you can do that. I do it by, I do that by first, the last person on his side that you have in your tree, you right click and bring it up in a new tab. And then do the same thing with the person that is not in your tree. You right click it and bring it up in another tab. The first thing you want to do is you want to go to the person the last person on his side that you have in your tree, and take a look at it and see if there's a possibility that the person that you don't have in your tree is listed and the name has been altered, but you can evaluate it to see that it needs to be entered. Now, if it isn't in your tree, then you go to the entry that is not in your tree, and then you can just go up into Tools on the right side, and you can click Save to Tree. A pop-up window will come up, and down the right-hand corner, there's an Add New Person. Click on that, and then just save it. Now, before you do anything else, you want to copy the name on that page. Now go back to the person who is on your tree, and the son or daughter of that person is the one you just copied, and you'll add it in, and that happened to be a boy, so it's a son. Now, you've copied his name, and now you want to select somebody. That person is now in your tree, but it's not connected to anybody. So you click Select Someone in your tree, and you paste that in, and you'll notice that name will pop up, and you have to click on it in dark, and then save it. Now, refresh that page, and that name comes up. Now we open that name up, and now we're going to put in the person's name who we're researching. There's no information on that person, so you have to just copy and paste the heading, and add it to the person's name that you just entered. And I always put unknown gender on the new person, and then paste that name into their name's location. Now, when I paste the names in of the person's ID, I just paste it into the first and middle name section. I don't separate them, and I leave the name of the parents in the last name position. I'll save it. Now, I hope this wasn't too hard to follow, but what we've done now is we've entered in that person's name that we're researching. And it'll take some time before this will reconnect itself, but you should be able to come back eventually and that evaluate notice, and it has. It's been taken off of the name above the researched name and cleared it. So you have a clean connection from yourself to your ancestor down his line to that person's name. And that's the way you do it. I hope this was a little help. I get a little confusing sometimes. I hope it didn't throw you out in left field. So thanks for watching, and have fun with your genealogy.